In progress.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. So once you join from laptop, I'll give you the host access on laptop Zoom.
Yeah.
In progress.
I don't know if somebody can come on Sunday or not. No, they are not joined.
I guess Srila Prabhupada first.
Mm.
Hare Krishna. Your Pranam. All devotees. I was waiting some others can join, but I think today many devotees are having programs and all those things, I think. I don't know. So we'll start. Okay. Am I audible? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतवेश्वराय वासस्वामिनारायणाय विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय। नमस्ते साधुसुखदेवे गौरवान् विचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी भाष्यकृष्णाय। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसति प्रभु। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे मुखम करति वाचालं गाति कृपातमं श्री गुरुदेवताय परमानंदमाय गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तथाले कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। वागीशाय सवदने लक्ष्मी यस्य पुरुषस्य स्यास्ते यन्त प्रविश ममाच मां सुतां संजीवयत्य कृष्णधरस्वधाम्यां शास्त्रचक्रश्रीमत्पदादे प्राणानमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं। निज गुरु हरिवाण्या कृष्ण चित्तो विचितो परित्य पितृगेहादंत संसार कृपा भजन स्वातो भजन संस्कृष्ट। So we're continuing the session of Vani, Vapu and Vani. So we are reading from the book. It is from page number 43. Damodar Das found Srila Prabhupada's presence to be challenging, life-altering. The experience of being with the Swami was unsettling. It forced us to question our assumptions about every move we made. Yet to be with him was also the most confronting and reassuring event of our lives. To be so close to him was like being at the center of the universe. We felt no fear or anxiety. He was our eternal protector. If I had not been there with Srila Prabhupada for days and weeks and months, my life would be nothing but dry, tattered scraps. The sound of the words from his mouth was like a ripe, delicious mango. And it drove you mad for more and more. His hands danced, and the sight of him blessed our eyes with spiritual vision. For on seeing him, we gazed into the kingdom of God. What a beautiful description of Prabhupada. Damodar Das, Spiritual Bounds and Neighborhood Beats, BTG article 34.3, year 2000. Pradyavali Devi Dasi. When Prabhupada was there, it was like everything was completely rectified. This is from Pradyavali Devi Dasi, Srila Prabhupada lecture interview. Others found Srila Prabhupada's presence to be calming and uplifting. Being in your presence was like being sheltered in a transcendental bubble. Time stood still, and your peacefulness made our restless hearts be calmed. It put us on a different plane of existence. We were in the company of a personality who was of a kind, who was in direct communion with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is from Krishna Rupa Devi Dasi Vyas Puja offering year 2019. Purifying, fortifying, and addictive. Prabhupada's presence cut the cord of attachment for that period of time, and then unfortunately, we were so attached, we find it again and we find it again, we hang on to our attachments. But when we were with Prabhupada in his presence, we had spiritual strength it kept us coming back, kept us wanting. This quote is from Sahadevi Devi Dasi in Prabhupada's Memories, volume 79. Transformative. In the early days, we were all hardcore hippies and New Yorkers and Americans. But we became just like little puppy dogs with Prabhupada. This quote is from Hamsadutta Das, Srila Prabhupada lecture interview. Yamuna Devi Dasi's experience. There was never a moment that you weren't aware of Srila Prabhupada's greatness. In any situation, no matter how familiar you became with him or how long you engaged in his service, being with him was just not of the worldly platform. He was such an extraordinary personality. Yamuna Devi Dasi. What is this SPL? Just confirm.
Prabhupada Lelamritame, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhupada Leelamrita interview. Yeah, they did interviews for Prabhupada Leelamrita. Yes, Prabhupada Leelamrita. Maybe somewhat romanticized recounting of the magic that Srila Prabhupada's presence affected. In the early days, we used to Srila Prabhupada's association. Is there something missing? In the early days, we were used to, in the early days, we were used to Srila Prabhupada's personal association. And his association was galvanizing. He was like a magnet, and everything else was like iron filings. All things fell into place. It was simple to be a devotee, to be spiritual. If Srila Prabhupada said, "This is how to cook dal," suddenly you become empowered to cook dal. If he said, "This is how you chant," suddenly you become empowered to chant. If he said, "Get this building," suddenly you got that building. All you had to do was to suspend disbelief long enough to do it. By Srila Prabhupada's direct, kinetic, personal presence, it happened. If Srila Prabhupada told people to work together on something, never mind they were enemies 10 minutes before, they could work together perfectly, just as the lions got along with the deer when Lord Chaitanya went through the Jharikhanda forest. What a comparison. Srila Prabhupada took away the ego barriers that made it impossible to see the higher self and to see one another's relationship with Krishna. Since Srila Prabhupada was continuously channeling the super soul, he was channeling the source of everyone's well-being. He had all information. When Srila Prabhupada went to another temple, everyone tried to maintain the standard, but being what we were, it could gradually sink down. When Srila Prabhupada came back, all of a sudden, there was excitement and everything worked again. In those days, we imagined that Srila Prabhupada would always go from temple to temple. In those days, we imagined that Srila Prabhupada would always go from temple to temple to temple, keeping us revived. This quote is from Naranarayana Das in Prabhupada Memories, Volume 3. More. In those days, we could climb Mount Everest and not be tired. Prabhupada's energy was driving the movement so powerfully that if we were given a duty to do, it was nothing. This quote is from Gaura Haridas, in following Srila Prabhupada, July 1970. Shyamasundar Das's overall impression of being with Srila Prabhupada. In your presence, I was thrilled with excitement, anticipation, a sense of comfort and safety, the certainty that whatever happens will be Krishna's arrangement and perfect in every way. This quote is from Shyamasundar Das, Chasing Rhinos with the Swami, Volume 3, page 391. Ishana Das recalls being impressed that here is a transcendental personality who lives in another dimension, another world. Oh, Krishna. This quote is from Ishana Das, Srila Prabhupada Memories by Ishana Das, Part 1, YouTube 51, timestamp 5150. That's the YouTube link. Many devotees experience that in Srila Prabhupada's presence, all doubts simply cease to exist. Ishana Das. Like the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chiddante Sarva Samshaya, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 2, text 21. The clarity he gave dispelled the dense darkness of ignorance of the age of Kali. Kalau nashta drishanesha, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, third chapter, 43rd text. Aptly, Harishauridas, in summarizing his realization of his abundant personal association with Srila Prabhupada, dubbed him a living Bhagavad. So, quote, he is gentle and mild in his manner and completely fixed and steady in his devotion to Krishna. He has tremendous strength and force, but is devoid of passion. His presence is totally dominating without being at all domineering. His mind steady and his senses controlled effortlessly. His intelligence is perfectly clear and he knows how to act and how others should act in every situation. His presence thus makes spiritual life a reality. He is living, breathing Bhagavatam. Whatever description of Krishna consciousness is in his books, he himself is that. Reading his books brings gradual realization, but what is understood in perhaps several lifetimes of study is revealed on a second to second, minute to minute, and a day to day basis in Srila Prabhupada's personal association. Simply watching Srila Prabhupada in his daily activities, how he deals with devotees, how he responds to different situations, how he preaches, how he manages the worldwide affairs of his ever expanding society, how he relaxes, how he continually pushes forward the movement of Lord Chaitanya, how absolutely every facet of his being is fully Krishna conscious. It is quite feasible to understand the full import of the sacred scriptures. By studying and preaching, one may make steady advancement. But at least for me, although I have full faith in Krishna consciousness, many ideas and principles are still only intellectually perceived, not yet fully realized. But by observing Srila Prabhupada, I can see that they are natural, integral part of his very being. End of the quote. So this is from Harishauri Das, Transcendental Diary, Volume 1, Chapter 2. Yogeshwara Das similarly perceived, Yogeshwara Das similarly perceived that Srila Prabhupada excluded Krishna consciousness in all circumstances. There wasn't, starting of the quote, there wasn't one instance, not 1 second when Srila Prabhupada was not revealing Krishna. Even when he is doing something that may have seemed like a common everyday affair, preparing to go somewhere or arranging, everything about him was in service to Krishna. Under the quote. So this quote is from Yogeshwara Das in Prabhupada Memories, volume 89. Okay. Overall, he touched our lives with deep, permanent impressions. This quote is from Satsvarup Das Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Smaranam, page 33. Some of Srila Prabhupada's disciples did not immediately open up to him, but he is continuing to give himself to them gradually won their hearts. As one early disciple, Shyamasundar Das noted, quote, we were not so easy to convince. In those days of chaos in the streets, the nights of instant everything, that a perfect man could walk this earth, a hero for the age. No. But that he spent so much of his precious time for us. That's the wonder. To lead us little by little, holding our hands at first, then turning forward and boldly striding ahead, stopping, glancing back from time to time, till we were right behind, tucked into his slipstream, into his rhythm, rocketing along in his footfalls. End of the quote. This quote is from Guru Das' book By His Example, introduction. Okay. Anyone could volunteer to read? Rajendra Shivakumar. Oh, this is Shamsarup. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Could you please continue to read, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. As one among a handful of dedicated disciples who assisted Srila Prabhupada in the beginning days of the movement, Shyamasundara Dasa expressed what they all felt. Quote, I wanted to be with him personally as much as possible because I experienced the greatest pleasure of my whole life in those moments. Reference Shyamas Sundara Dasa in Prabhupada Memories, Volume 27. Though unfamiliar with Vedic culture, these first pioneers were qualified through love and submission to their spiritual master. The good fortune of these devotees is unquestionable. Reference up to here, part of this paragraph is from Samapriya Devi Dasi, the Divine Love Trip Kindle edition. Later, as the movement expanded, only a few were able to live with him as his personal secretaries or traveling companions and be directly trained by him in all aspects of Krishna consciousness. It might be presumed that those fortunate devotees who related with Srila Prabhupada directly, not only as their spiritual master, but also as their father and friend, must surely know him better than those who served from a distance and who rarely, if ever, got a chance to speak with him. However, Srila Prabhupada taught that, quote, the mercy of the bona fide spiritual master is there equally for everyone. That's a reference. Letter 30th March 1971. As Satswarupa Dasa Goswami, himself an early disciple, noted, quote, it is not a fact that those who were with him in 1966 necessarily have more intimacy. Satswarupa Dasa Goswami, Prabhupada Meditations 3.4.1. This might seem counterintuitive. Are not Srila Prabhupada's intentions best known to those who had much direct intercourse with him? Surely those devotees were blessed with meaningful insights into Srila Prabhupada's personality, into how he practically applied his teachings, and with a strong sense of attachment to him. Several of them also received important instructions regarding the management and organization of ISKCON, or some details of Vaishnava behavior that might not have been imparted to others. However, some disciples relied so much on Srila Prabhupada's personal association that they struggled when it was no longer available. Reference, one early devotee recounted to Bhakti Vikas Swami that he lived in Krishna consciousness just to please Srila Prabhupada. For the reciprocation he got from Srila Prabhupada, and that in 1977, being unable to see Srila Prabhupada sick or to face the prospect of living without that direct reciprocation, he left ISKCON and plunged into Maya. Krishna. The fact that many such seemingly intimate disciples deviated from their initiation vows, some even in Srila Prabhupada's direct presence, indicates that not all had deeply assimilated his message, nor made his Vani one with their heart. Guru Mukha Padmavakya Chitete Karya Aikya Arana Kariha Mane Asha. How can a person chant with one hand and smoke with another? It is ludicrous. Such a person cannot be a devotee.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Reference quoted by Hayagriva Dasa with Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavana. Back to Godhead 53 1973. A servant who abandons, disobeys, or misrepresents his master, even by weakness or error, must be understood to be not fixed in service, especially if he does so repeatedly or for a prolonged period. As Shivaramaswamy noted, I have seen many devotees who, after countless hours of association with Srila Prabhupada, who had been his secretary, cook, and traveling companion, abandon his abandon his service and compromise the principles of Krishna consciousness. From Veda based reference. Another disciple of Srila Prabhupada further elaborated on this theme. Those who were physically proximate to Srila Prabhupada, servants, secretaries, GBCs, sannyasis at all, many times have been seen to have had just as many, if not more, spiritual problems, and to have had the same lack of judgment as the rest of us, who were only able to have close association with his Vani and not his Vapu. I don't wish to.
Here there is one servant secretaries, GBCs, sannyasis. ETAL is mentioned. You saw that?
Yes, Prabhu.
For things we say etc.
Mhm.
For if it is referring to the people, it say and others. Actually, ETAL means and others. It's a short form of writing, just like writing etc. etc. Like that,
Mhm.
for writing and others. It refers to persons here: servant, secretary, GVC, sannyasis, and
Mhm.
others. Like that, many places it will come here. At
Okay.
L means and others.
Okay. So that should be read as and others, is it, Prabhu?
Yeah, it should be. Just like we read
Okay.
etc. We see
Uh
etc. We don't
huh.
read etc. We read
Yes.
as
Yes.
etc.
Uh huh.
This one, that one, and etc. Like that we read. So like that,
Okay.
when it
Okay.
comes ETAL, then you should
Uh
read
huh.
and others.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. I don't wish to dwell on mistakes made by other devotees, as they are surely far fewer than those made by myself. But it seems from an objective point of view that there is little or no evidence to show that the theory of physical proximity makes any difference to a person's judgment, although you would certainly think that people who got more personal association with His divine grace would pick up some spiritual common sense. Reference unknown disciple, the record of who posted this is lost. Yamuna Devi Dasi, who herself had much personal association with Srila Prabhupada, insistently upheld this principle as Jagatam as Jagatam Devi Dasi recalls. Once I said to Yamuna, quote, "You are so lucky to have had so much personal association with Prabhupada. I am so unlucky I didn't I didn't have that." Soft spoken Yamuna slammed her hand down on the desk with so much force I jumped. She said, "That is a misconception. If you read Srila Prabhupada's books and follow his instructions, you are in association with Srila Prabhupada. So many devotees were with Srila Prabhupada personally, and now they have gone away." Reference Jagatam Devi Dasi in A Bond of Love. Thus, it is mistaken to associate physical closeness with intimacy. A disciple asked Srila Prabhupada how it was that favored disciples who were once close to Srila Prabhupada could fall down and leave their Krishna conscious practices. Prabhupada replied that physical closeness or intimacy does not matter. He gave the example that the king may be sitting on the throne and a mosquito may be sitting on the lap of the king. But that does not mean the mosquito is favored by the king. Rather, that mosquito may simply be causing a disturbance to the king. But because of our past conditioning, we associate physical closeness with intimacy. Service to the spiritual master is not restricted only to those who are physically close, and in fact, those who are physically close may even be creating a disturbance rather than helping. Reference Satswarupa Dasa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada Nectar 3.26. Indeed, it was devotees who had had much direct association with and direct guidance from Srila Prabhupada, his most trusted men, who, just after his disappearance, were responsible for misleading the movement into disaster. Reference. This refers to the zonal Acharya system. See the zonal Acharya heresy in the peril
Heresy.
heresy in the perils of succession by Tamala Krishna Goswami. Certainly, many early disciples were much loved by Srila Prabhupada, and all subsequent generations are eternally indebted to those whose groundbreaking services paved the way for paved the way for the development of ISKCON and made religious history, renting the storefront that was ISKCON's first premises, receiving Back to Godhead magazine,
Reviving.
reviving Back to Godhead magazine, organizing public Sankirtana parties for the first time in the West, purchasing ISKCON's first ever spacious and prestigious property in Los Angeles, bringing Krishna consciousness to Europe, meeting and engaging the Beatles, acquiring Bhaktivedanta Manor, an aristocratic mansion just outside London, securing ISKCON's first plot of land in Mayapur, enduring prolonged tribulations to establish the Bombay Temple, and many more major and lesser known activities that within 10 years rocketed ISKCON from a local New York curiosity to a major religious force with worldwide reach.
Wow.
Yet, all these achievements, magnificent as they are, do not necessarily privilege their performers with special access to understanding Srila Prabhupada's mood and mission. Indeed,
Okay, Prabhu.
yes, Prabhu.
I can request some others to read. Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Because this section is very, very big. Uh, Any other Matajis who would like to volunteer to read?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Shall I, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
All these achievements, magnificent as they are, do not necessarily privilege their.
No, we should read from here. Indeed, failure to remain.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. Indeed, failure to remain on the platform of pure spiritual life is indicative of lack of proper understanding, as can be inferred from the following statement of Srila Prabhupada's. One has to learn by the result. Falena parichiyate. Our students are ordered to act like this, and they are not falling down. That they are remaining on the platform of pure spiritual life to culture the principles of avidya or sense gratification is the test of their proper understanding of the Vedas. They do not come back to the material platform because they are relishing the nectarian fruit of love of God. Reference 255. The Science of Self-Realization, Chapter 3. In the most spiritually realistic sense, Srila Prabhupada can best be known by those devotees who seriously attempt to fully accept his mercy by and taking his words and mission as their very lives throughout their lives. Just as Srila Prabhupada knew the heart of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati better than anyone else, despite having had limited personal association with him. So far as personal association with the Guru is concerned, I was only with my Guru Maharaj 4 or 5 times. But I have never left his association, not even for a moment, because I am following his instructions. I have never felt any separation. There are some of my god brothers here in India who had constant personal association with Guru Maharaj, but who are neglecting his order, sitting on the lap of the king. He may be very puffed up by his position. Succeed in doing is biting the king. Personal association is not so important as association through service. Reference 256. Letter 20th February 1972.
Mataji, Hare Krishna. Your internet is not clear because sometimes sound breaks sometime. I
Oh,
think
is it?
yeah, it is creating some interruption sometimes. It is
Okay.
it's breathing like so. I don't know, or your mic is not proper or whatever. I don't know, but sometimes like this is just like the bug that went silent and then who is sitting on the lap of the king went again. It came like that. So now also we
Okay.
are not able to hear properly. It's
Okay. I'll switch the network next time. So today, for now, I think somebody else can take up. Okay, Prabhuji?
okay, Mataji. Sorry, huh? Otherwise actually.
No problem. No, Prabhuji. No problem. No. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranamam.
Anybody else? Aditya can read.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Correct.
As Bhargavadasa recalled, on a morning walk, Yogeshwara said, some devotees think that to become advanced, they need a lot of personal association with you, because all the devotees who are advanced now had it. Srila Prabhupada became angry and said, who is that rascal? He is not chanting his 16 rounds a day. He walked for a few steps and said, all in all, I had maybe 15 days personal association with my Guru Maharaj. Reference Bhargava Das, Srila Prabhupada Lil Mrita interview. Consistently, Srila Prabhupada stressed that serving the Guru's Vani is more important than serving his Vapu or being in physical proximity. As early as 1967, he explained this principle by letter to devotees in New York who were feeling separation from him after he departed for San Francisco. I understand that you are feeling my absence. Krishna will give you strength. Physical presence is immaterial. Presence of the transcendental sound received from the spiritual master should be the guidance of life. That will make our spiritual life successful. Reference, reference letter 19 Jan 1967. And to devotees in San Francisco after he had gone to India, never think that I am absent from you. Physical presence is not essential. Presence by message or hearing is real touch. We always feel the presence of our past acharyas simply by their immutable instructions. Reference letter 2nd August 1967. The philosophical rationale behind this. Our business is to chant and glorify the holy name of Krishna, and wherever we may remain, Krishna is with us. Krishna is within your heart. Krishna is within my heart. So, spiritually, there is no question of separation, even though physically we may be in a far distant place. Reference letter 30th August 1968. To early devotees who were struggling with this understanding, Srila Prabhupada explained that there are two conceptions, the physical conception and the vibration conception. The physical conception is temporary and the vibration conception is eternal. He gave the example that even though Krishna is not physically here now, as soon as we chant Hare Krishna or verses from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is present by vibration. The vibration is more important than the physical presence, whether of Krishna or the spiritual master. When we feel separation from him, we should just try to remember his words and his instructions. Then we will be happy and feel no separation. derived from lecture 18th August 1968 and Jadurani Devi Dasi, The Art of Spiritual Life. Indeed, Srila Prabhupada assured that the ecstasy of separation of the spiritual master is even greater ecstasy than meeting with him. Reference
Oh, Krishna.
letter 13th January 1968. Counteracting the persistent notion that physical association is best, Srila Prabhupada unequivocally stated the opposite. One has to associate it with liberated persons, not directly.
Associate. One has to associate, not associated.
One has to associate with liberated persons, not directly, physically, but by understanding through philosophy and logic the problems of life.
Oh,
Reference Srimad Bhagavatam 3.31.48 purport. Specifically, the best way to associate with the spiritual master is to follow his instructions. Letter November 4th, 1975. And he defined real association. You write that you have a desire to avail of my association again. But why do you forget that you are always in association with me when you are helping my missionary activities? I am always thinking of you, and you are always thinking of me. That is real association. Reference letter 17th August 1969. Again, invoking the vibration conception. Vibration is more important than physical presence. When you feel separation from your spiritual master, you just try to remember his words of instruction. You shall not feel separation. You shall feel that he is with you. So we should associate by the vibration and not by the physical presence. That is real association. Reference from lecture 18th August 1968. The connection is not only by instruction, but by following. I am so glad that your center is doing so well, and all the devotees are now appreciating the presence of their spiritual master by following his instructions, although he is no longer physically present. This is the right spirit. Reference from letter 13th September 1970. If a disciple is constantly engaged in carrying out the instructions of the spiritual master, he is supposed to be constantly in company with his spiritual master. Reference from letter 22nd August 1970. Repeatedly, Srila Prabhupada emphasized the primacy of spiritual connection over physical representation. Always remember that I am always with you. As you are always thinking of me, I am always thinking of you also. Although physically we are not together, we are not separated spiritually. So we should be concerned only with the spiritual connection. Reference from letter 13th November 1969. Whatever we are doing is in the parampara system, beginning from Lord Krishna down to us. Therefore, our loving spirit should be more upon the message than the physical representation. When we love the message and serve him, automatically our devotional love for the physic is done. Reference from letter 7th April 1970. I also do not feel separation from my Guru Maharaj. When I am engaged in his service, his pictures give me sufficient strength. To serve the spiritual master's word is more important than to serve him physically. Reference from letter 19th July 1970. The spiritual master is present wherever his sincere disciple is trying to serve his instructions. This is possible by the mercy of Krishna. In your attempts to serve me and in all your sincere devotional sentiments, I am with you, as my Guru Maharaj is with me. Remember this always. Reference from letter 1st December 1973. If there is no chance to serve the spiritual master directly, a devotee should serve him by remembering his instructions. There is no difference between the spiritual master's instructions and the spiritual master himself. In his absence, therefore, his words of direction should be the pride of the disciple. Reference from Chaitanya Charitamrita 1.1.35 purport. If you continue in your devotional service, chant your rounds, study my books, and visit the temple, I will always be with you. Rajshekara Dasa, Prabhupada in South India, page 283.
Okay, Prabhu.
Dhanavad Pranam Prabhu.
Okay. I will tell somebody else. Mataji Rekha Ranga Prasad.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, you want to read Mataji? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Your internet connection is fine, no?
I think so. Yes, Prabhuji. Now it's better.
Yeah. Oh, you are the same person you read previously?
Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji.
You can continue.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Indeed, several devotees whose connection with Srila Prabhupada from the beginning had primarily been through money and service testified that they did not feel a great loss on his departure. Their relationship with Srila Prabhupada continued much as it had before. Reference 275. Several such testimonies are in A Bond of Love. Krishna Kumari Devi Dasi. Not having direct contact with Srila Prabhupada was something most of us learned to live with right from the beginning, and this gave us the opportunity to learn how to serve him in his absence. Everyone was eager to please Srila Prabhupada, so we learned how to serve his mission together without his presence on a daily basis. We followed his instructions, attended the programs, read his books, heard his tapes, and happily gave our youthful energy to serve his mission. We would ask those senior to us, how would Srila Prabhupada do this? Or what would Srila Prabhupada say? Reference 276. Krishna Kumari Devi Dasi in A Bond of Love. On the other hand, it was possible to directly be Srila Prabhupada, as Satsvarupadasa Goswami related regarding an incident involving himself. He, Satsvarupa Maharaj, had learned another lesson as well. His own viewpoint of Prabhupada was entirely subjective. Although he had been with Prabhupada, he had not correctly understood Prabhupada's thoughts and motives. He felt that perhaps he was not the only disciple who sometimes made that mistake. One may try to comprehend the many aspects of Srila Prabhupada, but one should not expect to understand completely. Even GBC secretaries and other leading devotees who were right with Prabhupada in his dealings could not know what Prabhupada was thinking. Sattvarupa Maharaj always follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions. Reference 277. Satswarupadasa Goswami, special.
No, Srila
Yes,
Prabhupada
Srila
Leela.
Prabhupada Leelamrit. Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit, chapter 43, beginning the temple of Krishna Balaram. Still, although Srila Prabhupada always stressed that Vani is more important than Vapu, that to carry out the teachings of the Guru is more important than to worship the form. He also taught that none of them should be neglected. Reference 278. All quotes in this paragraph up to here are from a letter 14th December 1972. It is not that service to the Vapu is unimportant. Who amongst Prabhupada's followers does not crave the opportunity to serve his Vapu and does not relish hearing narrations by those who had the fortune to serve his Vapu? These narrations have significant didactic value, didactic value, not least in as much as they underscore the reality of Srila Prabhupada being an especially empowered personality. If his life story and other anecdotes had not been told, it might be thought that he was just one among many gurus or one among scholarly devotees who comment upon Shastra. These narrations thus bolster faith in the importance of his books, but by no means should they be thought to supersede the direction given in his books, nor did Srila Prabhupada intend otherwise. For among all the forms of his Vani, Srila Prabhupada always stressed the importance of his books. They are the core of his Vani. Indeed, he considered them better than himself. He told Kamalakrishna Goswami, "My books are better than me because the best of me is in the books. I sit there and every word that comes out is the very best of me." Reference 279. Lecture 1st August 1989. Satswarupadas Goswami similarly noted, these books are that part of himself that he most wanted to share. Reference 80. Satswarupadasa Goswami, I am never displeased with any member. Page 419. Although at every moment he gave himself to those around him and to the entire humanity, it was particularly in his books that he shared his immense knowledge, experience, and realizations of Krishna consciousness. And he specifically emphasized, whatever I have to speak, I have spoken in my books. Reference 281. Lecture 17th May 1977. Indicating the non-difference of Vapu and Vani, Srila Prabhupada declared, I will never die. I shall live from my books and you will utilize. Reference 282. Conversation 16th July 1975. Harishori Dasa elaborated on this accord between Srila Prabhupada Vapu and the Vani that he gave in his books. Everything that Srila Prabhupada wanted to say, he put in his books. It's an open secret. It's not that Srila Prabhupada just kept some knowledge or some ideas just for an intimate few. Those who are intimately connected with Srila Prabhupada got the same instruction as those who may have never even met Srila Prabhupada. Everything is there. 283 and 284 reference. Prabhupada Kripa Dasa quoted in only he could lead them. ISKCON TV. Reference 284. See also everything in his books. By stating we are explaining this science in so many books, it is open to everyone. 285. Reference Conversation 16th July 1976. By stating we are explaining this service in so many books, it is open to everyone.
Mataji, by stating we are explaining this science.
Oh,
Not
yes.
service.
Sorry. By stating we are explaining this science in so many books, it is open to everyone. Reference 285. Srila Prabhupada. Sorry?
Nothing much.
Srila Prabhupada underscored that it was via his books in which he made clear the teachings that he wished to communicate to the world, and his missionary purpose that he extended himself to all devotees and indeed to all future generations, as Samapriya Devidasi observed. Though it was not physically possible for him to spend intimate time with everyone, Srila Prabhupada made an arrangement to fulfill this need of all his disciples and future followers. During the long hours of the night when the world was asleep, he wrote his transcendental books, assuring each of us who seek his shelter confidential association with a Nitya Siddha, the opportunity to directly and intimately associate with his divine grace is still available and will remain so as long as his books exist. The realizations and confidential ecstasies.
Ecstasy.
Ecstasies.
No. Ecstasies.
Ecstasies revealed in his sublime purpose have the power to transform any sincere soul and lead him or her safely on the path back to Godhead. Reference 286. Samapriya Devidasi, the Divine Love Trip, Kindle edition.
Mataji, we can stop here.
Yes.
From this place or in this we can read tomorrow. It's already time is up.
Yes. Yes.
So thank you very much, all devotees. We will end the session over here. If at all you have any questions, you can ask. Else, you can leave here. Today, very few devotees have come somehow. Today, because of the programs and all those things, I don't know why. Okay, thank you very much. We will meet tomorrow with a new session on this page in the section of Apu and Vani. Hare Krishna, Dhanapurna.
Hare Krishna.
Haridanam Bhavnebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj ki jai. The Modern Mission of Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you.